Right now at 6, destruction in Ukraine's capital as an invasion from Russia continues. Plus, firefighters are called to a house fire in Joplin. Also, the George Washington Carver National Monument hosts an interracial understanding workshop. And Pittsburgh disc golfers brave the cold for charity. You're watching the KOAM News at 6. Thank you for joining us tonight. The fighting in Ukraine continues to intensify since it began last Thursday. Russian troops are said to be closing in on the capital city of Kyiv. But Ukrainians remain defiant and are vowing to do whatever they can to defend their country. Michael George reports from New York on the crisis in Ukraine.
Air raid sirens sounded in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, as Russian troops pressed on. On Saturday, a spokesperson for Russia's defense ministry said Russian forces had resumed their offensive in all directions in Ukraine. New satellite images showed troops assembled near a Ukrainian hydroelectric power plant, with armored vehicles and trucks gathered nearby. Ukraine's capital city is on the verge of an all-out assault from Russian forces, and a high-rise building was struck. But Ukraine's president is vowing to keep fighting back, hinting that there's an international consensus to cut Russia off from the global banking system known as SWIFT.
Disconnecting them from SWIFT is one of the, we believe, very effective actions.
As the fighting continues, the Biden administration has authorized another $350 million in military aid for Ukraine's government.
We have to stay the course with the rest of our allies. And in the meantime, we're supplying defensive weaponry and economic assistance.
Demonstrators in cities across the country and around the world donned blue and yellow over the weekend in support for the people of Ukraine. The United Nations Refugee Agency estimates at least 150,000 people have fled Ukraine since the Russian invasion began. Michael George, CBS News.
Germany says it will also send anti-tank weapons and surface-to-air missiles to Ukraine to help the nation defend itself. Today was a little bit better, a little bit of melting getting done. Nick Kelly joining us.
Yeah, finally temperatures back near 50. No, that's actually for tomorrow, Chris. We're back at least in the 40s today, but helpful since we saw a lot of sunshine today. Still nice to see that from 7th and Range Line. If the machine will let me get going, we can break down the rest of our setup. Here we go. Nice that we're seeing nothing on the radar network. We've been keeping this dry ever since the last winter storm cleared out late Wednesday and early Thursday morning. A little bit of high cloud cover due to just a weak wave passing to the south. Fortunately, that wave is keeping any good rain chances to the south of the region. So that is setting us up for a quiet evening to at least get things going. Temperatures, though, aren't dropping off quite quickly, though. We're in the mid to upper 30s for most, maybe a couple lower 40s still trying to hold on. But as we go through the overnight, we'll go from the 30s down to the 20s. I think most of us right around 21 degrees. But temperatures, Chris, thankfully, will continue the upward swing. We'll see how the week ahead is shaping up here in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. Joplin fire crews responded to a house fire early this morning in the Murfreesboro area. Just before 5, crews were alerted to a fire at this home at 910 West 5th Street near 5th and Connor. Firefighters reported heavy smoke and flames and called in a second alarm. Everyone was out of the home safely. The cause of the fire is under investigation. February is Black History Month, but the George Washington Carver National Monument celebrates Black history year-round. Now, Carver grew up during a time of segregation and was born during the Civil War. Despite this, he never treated anyone differently. So today, the National Monument hosted an interracial understanding workshop for attendees to reflect on where the country has been and where we are now.
They're going to be learning a little bit more about race relations within the United States during George Washington Carver's time and see how he would have had an understanding of race relations in his job, in his field, and how he was able to use the idea of coming together through soil conservation and discussing race.
The National Monument hopes attendees see that these lessons are applicable in everyday life. Today, disc golfers in Pittsburgh took part in the Ice Bowl. The cold didn't scare them off. It actually added to the overall experience. It's a collection of disc golf events held every January and February across the country to kick off the sports season. Folks came out to Schlanger Park today to play their favorite sport and help out a local charity, the Wesley House.
I work at the middle school, so I'm right next to it, and every day I drive by and you see many individuals walking in there, and especially in being in Pittsburgh, I think you're getting a lot of people that I don't realize that the Wesley House is here and they are helping support our community. They do so much work, and so however way we can help them do their work, that's the best we can do.
This is the first time the Ice Bowl in Pittsburgh was held during actual icy weather. The Monarch Cement Company is having its annual truck rodeo. This event gives 14 ready-mix drivers to showcase their skills at driving a cement truck through a series of tests and obstacles. The participants of the competition were chosen by their respective plants to go and represent them. The top two finishers of the event will get to go on the Ready Mix Concrete Association's national competition in the fall.
I hope everyone realizes that the craft they do every day when they're servicing our customers is very important, and it's skills you can practice and get better at. The better they are at those skills, the better we're serving our customer, the more successful we are as a company in whole.
They'll have the opportunity to compete against the world's top drivers in the profession if chosen to go to nationals. And we take this time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Private First Class Oral Storm served in the Army during World War II. His hometown, Lamar. We're proud to recognize Private First Class Oral Storm, tonight's four-state hero. Coming up, in addition to easing mask mandates nationally, the CDC is making changes to school masking guidelines as well. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention relaxing its mask recommendations for school children as the number of COVID-19 cases continue to drop. Universal masking is now only recommended for schools in areas with high community-wide coronavirus infection rates. About 28% of Americans currently live in such communities. That data comes from examining the number of new COVID-19 cases in a community, the local hospital capacity, and the number of hospitalizations. The CDC says prevention strategies in schools have been proven effective and children face a lower risk of infection. As a general rule, public health officials can now say school masking policies should match indoor mask guidance for the general population. The FDA is a step closer to a complete ban on menthol-flavored cigarettes and cigars. On Thursday, the agency submitted its proposal to the Office of Management and Budget. In 2020, the agency enacted a flavor ban on e-cigarettes because they targeted middle and high school students. Now, public health officials argue banning menthol, the last allowable flavor in cigarettes, will save lives. In its proposal, the FDA provides evidence that menthol tobacco products are heavily marketed to racial minorities. The CDC reports more than 85% of menthol smokers are black, taking a disproportionate toll on their health. FDA officials say the proposed menthol ban will still need to be open to public comment before a final review. A study finds transgender or non-binary youths suffer fewer mental health problems during their first year of gender-affirming treatment. It found adolescents and young adults treated with puberty blockers or gender-affirming hormones had 60% lower odds of moderate or severe depression and 73% lower risk of committing suicide. The research involved 104 transgender or non-binary youth, making it one of the larger studies to examine the impact of gender-affirming treatment on youth. The study participants were between the ages of 13 and 20. Earlier studies have shown transgender youth have high rates of anxiety, depression, self-harm, eating disorders, and suicide. The study was published Friday in JAMA Open Network. The impact of COVID-19 on children who lose parents and new guidance from the CDC on protecting yourself from COVID-19. Naomi Ruckham has some of this week's top health stories.
The CDC is easing mask recommendations for most Americans with a new framework that takes into account COVID-related hospitalizations and the strain on the local healthcare system. The agency says nearly 70% of the U.S. population is in a location with low or medium COVID-19 community levels, and that masks should be worn in high-level areas. The CDC also says anyone can choose to wear a mask anytime, and that those with symptoms, a positive test, or exposure to COVID-19 should wear a mask. A new study published in The Lancet details the tragic toll the COVID-19 pandemic is taking on children worldwide. Researchers say since March of 2020, at least 5 million children under the age of 18 have lost a parent or caregiver to the virus, putting them at increased risk of poverty, abuse, and mental illness. And climate change is leading to more extreme heat, and the soaring temperatures can take a toll on mental health. A new study out of Boston found that on extremely hot summer days, American adults were at an increased risk of visiting emergency rooms for mental health crises. Most cases were related to substance abuse, anxiety, and stress. Those are some of the week's top health stories. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
Later on the KOAM News at 6, there's a new addition at the Toronto Zoo.
Plus, a long stretch of quiet and warmer weather still on the way in. Forecast next. Boy, what felt like a parade of winter storms that came on through over the past few weeks. How about we just keep things quiet for the rest of this weekend? Certainly, yes. A good yes from Chris, and I think it's pretty safe to say everybody would like that. Thankfully, the radar has been bone dry all day long, all weekend long, and not to mention the skies cooperated with us. Even though there's a wave passing just to the south, it's trying to clip our very far southern counties with at least a little bit of cloud cover, but we'll take the quiet day that we've had as long as the temperatures responded to it, and we certainly have. We had upper 20s to near 30 the other day, only dropping back to about 19 this morning at Joplin Regional, and at least pushing back into the lower 40s so far today, 42, 43, give or take a degree or so. Thankfully, this quiet spell takes a hold and stays on top of us through a good portion of next week, and with the returning jet stream set up in our favor, we'll go from chilly temperatures to start the week to about 60s and 70s with the way things are looking as we go throughout the course of next week. Looking good, looking mostly clear from 7th and Range Line, 37 to jump with the calm breeze, but it feels like 33 since anytime you can whip up a light breeze like this, it'll take the temperatures in the mid to upper 30s and knock them down about 4 or 5 degrees. But at the top of the 6 o'clock hour, these numbers look good, and thankfully, the breeze has stayed nice and quiet as well. This has been variable throughout the course of the day, a constant change in the direction, but this has been a light variable breeze, mainly around 5 miles per hour. We're going to see temperatures drop back through the 30s, 20s, ultimately around 21 in Joplin. I think everyone's fair game to drop back at least into the lower 20s before we head into our Sunday morning. Nothing happening here. Way to the south has maybe a little bit of snow in the higher elevations of Arkansas, but mainly rain passing just to the south. Thankfully, high pressure is keeping much of that moisture to the south. We just don't have a lot to show you on the surface map. Nice and quiet weather, and with the building ridge wanting to return in our direction. That's really going to help us south, melt off the rest of the ice and the sleet and a little bit of snow that we picked up throughout the middle of this week. However, temperatures, we are going back into the chill a little bit, and mainly around 20, 21 around downtown Joplin and the metro. Everybody else will be in the lower 20s, so most of us dropping back to 21 with maybe a little cloud cover around by the start of tomorrow morning. But as we go through the rest of the day, mostly sunny, a light west breeze. We go from 44 in the morning to highs near 50 in Joplin. I think everyone's going to be near 50 or in the lower 50s come tomorrow afternoon. Let's just fly through the future track here. You can see how that upper level ridge just starts building in. That'll take us through the 60s and into the 70s, certainly by the middle of the week. But I want to bring your attention to the series of upper level waves out to the west. This is going to change our weather up again, and it fits Doug's pattern. So what does that mean? We'll maybe have a few showers in here by Friday, but with the way this upper low is setting up and the next cold front you can roll on in with it, we can watch for strong, maybe severe thunderstorms by the time Saturday rolls around. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure as we go throughout the course of the coming week, but let's just savor, finally, the warmer temperatures and the quiet spell while it's here. 50 tomorrow, 58 Monday, mid-60s on Tuesday, not mid 70s, but lower 70s still. Those numbers looking pretty good by the middle of the week, Chris.
It's going to feel like the upper 80s compared to what we've had here recently, so you can't complain about 70s.
Heat waves are coming.
That is for sure. And of course, with thunderstorm chances, Missouri weather, never boring. Four-state weather, never boring.
Any time of the year.
Right, Nick, thank you so much. Dirty Sports, there's a lot on the line for the Missouri Southern women today.
Well, they have a chance to win the program's first ever conference title. We've got those details. Plus, Lamar and Aurora hit the floor for the opening round of the district tournament. Highlights next. The Missouri Southern women have been setting records all season long, and today has the potential to be no different. The Lions are one win away from their first ever MIAA title. The Lions get it done. Lacey Stokes hits a game-winning three to lift Southern over Central Oklahoma 71-68. Stokes finishes with 28 points and 7 assists. Lane Skiles and Miaa Johns also score in double figures. Now Southern shares the conference title with Fort Hays State. They finished the regular season 19-3 in the conference and will be the #1 seed for the MIAA tournament beginning next week. On the men's side, Central Oklahoma scores 58 in the second half. Southern falls 95-76. Team high 18 for Lawson Jenkins, 16 for Avery Taggart, and 14 for Stan Scott. Pittsburgh State at Newman today for their regular season finale. The Gorillas get the win 77-52. Tristan Gegg scores a game-high 25 points. Jamie Jackson adds 12, and Erin Davis and Karenna Gerber each finish with 10. Looking ahead, Pitt State has earned the 8th seed for the MIAA tournament. They will play Washburn at noon on Wednesday. As for the Pitt State men, they come up short against Newman 73-63. Magic Relaford and RJ Lawrence score 12 each, and Ryan Pippins adds 10. The Class 4 District 12 tournament begins today at Seneca High School. Lamar faces Aurora in the quarterfinal round. The Tigers aiming for some revenge after losing to the Hound Dogs in the regular season. Late in the first, Ellie Creasy knocks down a three there to give the Hound Dogs the lead. Later, Peyton Blevins drives to the basket and scores. Aurora up by 9. Tigers trying to get back in it. Ella Harris for 2. 3-point game now. Lamar dominates in the second half. Ashlyn Stetler on the fast break feeds Marcy Miller. Miller with a team high 14. Then Stetler floats one in from the baseline. She adds 11. Lamar pulls away from Aurora 42-34 to advance to the semifinal. In Class 2 District 12, the College Heights boys and girls are playing for the championship today. On the girls' side, the Cougars fall to Miller 57-28. The boys, though, roll by Verona 71-57 to make it back-to-back district titles. They advance to play in the sectional round of the state tournament next week. In the Big 12 today, Oklahoma State at Oklahoma. First half, Jordan Goldwire hits the three. Sooners up by 10 at the break. Later in transition, Marvin Johnson hits the floater. Then 2 minutes left to go in regulation. Cowboys starting to come back here. Avery Anderson, the third, banks it in. 25 points for him tonight. Cowboys trail by 5. Then Musa Cisse, huge play to tie the game. He's got 12. 5 seconds on the clock here. Can the Sooners end it? First shot misses. Second, no good either. This one headed to overtime. And in overtime, Marvin Johnson gets the steal on the other end. He lays it in. Oklahoma escapes, winning 66-62. That's a look at sports. We're back after this.
The Toronto Zoo has a big announcement. Little Longlegs has landed. That's the name of the new healthy baby Maasai giraffe that was born there on Thursday. Now, those giraffes are native to East Africa, where they are an endangered species. Calf was able to stand for just the first 90 minutes after it was born. The mother and baby are both doing well. In fact, young calf already nursing. Zookeepers don't know the gender yet, but we'll find out soon during the first well baby checkup. Zoo's giraffe house will be closed until he or she is ready to make a public debut. Always cute little giraffes and stuff like that. You know, they're little baby animals. I mean, granted, a baby giraffe is still huge. Something else that's huge, temperature change this week.
Yeah, that's a huge story for much of next week. After a cold several days, we'll go to 50 tomorrow, 58 Monday, 60s on Tuesday, and lower 70s Wednesday and Thursday.
Danny, quick note in sports.
Missouri Southern, #1 seed for the MIAA tournament. They'll play the winner of Washburn-Pittsburgh State.
All right, guys, thank you so much. That's our time for now. We'll see you back here at 9 and 10. Thanks for making us part of your night.
Salon service is